Come and dream with me.
Hello and welcome to What Do You Want to Watch, the Explosion Network's premium media podcast. Every week we get together to talk about movies, TV, and online content to help you answer the question, have movie tie-in popcorn buckets gone too far when you're not getting a bucket worth of popcorn? I think so. I'm your host, Social Helpley. Joining me today, Don Blight.
Which movie fucked the popcorn lovers?
Well, I mean, there's been a few recently, but the one that's getting attention is The Odyssey. There's one where you can get the Trojan horse.
Right.
But you can't put much popcorn inside the Trojan horse.
Well, the thing is, the Trojan horse holds more than you'd think, but maybe not enough.
It would, but not this design. And there's a scale issue. Like, if it's the scale of the actual Trojan horse, then yes, it would fit a lot of popcorn. But think back. I was just thinking the Yoshi from the Super Mario Galaxy movie. That one didn't seem to hold a lot of popcorn.
Is anyone buying that under the assumption, any of these popcorn things under the assumption they hold as much as a, like, because I haven't brought one, so don't you like buy, like, you just pay for the thing, right? And then you'd buy popcorn and then pour it in?
No, popcorn's included.
Okay.
But back in the day, well, there were a lot of like tin buckets with like that kind of stuff. But it's like when they started to do all fancy designs and that kind of stuff. Like, yeah, there's a few recently that have been like, are you actually getting any popcorn in that, or is it just a excuse to buy a toy?
Yeah, I think it's just an excuse to buy a toy, right?
Yeah, I think that's probably right.
Let's be real.
All right, on today's episode, we'll be talking about what's in our watch history, going movies and film news, giving thumbs to trailers, and giving this week's top 3. Kicking things off, we have both just come back from watching Disclosure Day, the latest film by Steven Spielberg, starring Emily Blunt, Josh O'Connor, Colin Firth, Eve Hewson, Coleman Domingo, in which a massive government conspiracy unravels. Targeted whistleblower races against time to bring about the extraordinary event that will change human history forever, the day of ultimate alien disclosure. This is an interesting film. I think it's an interesting, thought-provoking film. I think, yeah, I'm still not sure exactly how I feel about it. And what, 30 minutes removed, maybe. But it's definitely an engaging experience. It's a film that drops you right in the middle, and especially not much hand holding, I would say. A lot of having to catch up to speed of what is going on, who's all these characters, what's the history and that kind of stuff. I'll say I found Emily Blunt's accent a little bit distracting, just maybe because I expected her to have a normal English accent, and she definitely did not. But yeah, there's some very interesting ideas, I think, in this one. Dylan, what are your initial thoughts?
I think it's going to be somewhat divisive, I guess, around people. I really enjoyed it. I think it's a social political movie wrapped in an alien film rather than an alien film, just a straight up alien film, I guess. Whereas previous Spielberg alien films are more just around the grandeur idea of life existing beyond our planet. I think the performances are like mostly all around really good. I didn't have any problem with her her accent. I would say Emily Blunt's the standout in this as far as performances go in general. I think she was really good. Josh O'Connor's good as well, and Colin Firth and everyone, but I think Emily Blunt's like probably the standout amongst it. I think there's some exciting action scenes, like this car chase and the train thing that you see in the trailer and whatever else. Cinematography is really good. You've got this fantastic score from John Williams coming out of retirement. The sort of thing that you sort of
didn't notice that.
Yeah, distinctively Williams that you don't really hear. The type of score that you don't really hear in movies much anymore because obviously we're used to certain other
No one wants to
prominent
ape
people. And
John Williams. Yeah.
yeah, but he has a sound obviously, and yeah, so that's here. I think my biggest problem is just the length. I think it's nearly 2.5 hours long. It does get draggy at parts between scenes, but ultimately the movie just feels like such a Spielberg's like, fuck it, I want to make this, I don't care if anyone likes it sort of vibe to it. That's sort of how it comes across. I mean, he wrote the story. David Cope
Cope
wrote did the screenplay, but I mean it's Spielberg's story. But
yeah, story by Spielberg.
Yeah, I think it's got a lot of really interesting ideas and stuff. I don't know if it's going to be for everyone, just because I definitely feel like the film is like, especially with the way it ends. At least what I took out of it was it's more it's a movie of its time that feels relevant for now, but it's not just this big alien movie that maybe people want it to be, which is an interesting direction sort of for it to go. Yeah, so maybe it's not big enough for what people might be expecting from Spielberg's return to aliens and sci-fi and whatever else, because I mean his last film was The Fabelmans, so
yes, well, this would be the first.
Technically, it's the first sci-fi thing he's done since Ready Player One, if you want to count that.
I guess, and then before that would be War of the Worlds, crazily enough. So, I feel like there's like a divide, like a, what's the word? Like a divide between what the right thing is to do and what's the wrong thing to do in this situation, whether to disclose the information or not. And I don't feel like that was dived into enough. It's like very surface level, and there's like a religious character who like brings it up briefly, where their qualms seem to be
quickly ciphered.
Addressed pretty quickly. You know what I mean? And I do find that I'd be interested to talk about the ending, because we're about to go into like a spoiler section. Yeah, I feel like that ending is quite interesting, and I feel like it's going to have a similar reaction to another recent film that ended in very much a similar way. Yeah, anything you want to mention before we stop this spoiler-free section?
Crazy that Spielberg movie opens with Lance Archer.
Yes. Dude. I mean, he's the most recognizable of the three wrestlers.
I didn't recognize.
Do you know who the other two are?
Who were the other two?
According to Wikipedia, the other two are Brian Cage.
Okay.
And I'm guessing Chavo Guerrero Jr. was the referee.
Okay.
Because they're listed as being in the film. So
yeah, I just recognize Lance Archer straight away because the film starts.
I mean, how could you not? With his braids or whatever. Yeah,
Murder Hawk Monster. Yeah.
Yes. But yeah, I think very interesting. So yeah, we will have a spoiler section at the end of this podcast. All right, last week we had put up a spoiler cast for Scary Movie, the latest entry in the Scary Movie franchise. Of course, we've been doing the Road to Scary Movie over on this podcast feed. Of course, this is the first film back with the Wayans in creative control since the second film, seeing Anna Faris, Regina Hall, Marlon Wayans, and Sean Wayans? I can't remember which of the Wayans. No, that's not. Well, I guess that will give me the answer. Yeah, Sean Wayans. Return as part of the cast for this film, which is very much takes its cues from the recent Scream recall, and is very much like all the other scary movies, trying to parody recent horror movies, mostly big blockbuster ones, and making other cultural and pop culture references. Dylan, you've got a review up on the website. I believe you gave it a 3 out of 10.
I did give it a 3 out of 10. I think it's really bad. I didn't find it particularly funny at all. I've nearly completely forgot it all, which is completely fine. and not a single standout moment, memorable moment, hijink that I think will stick around at all. It's like these actors all got wheeled back together. There's some fun, or not fun. There's some, it's nice to see them all back together for that level of, oh, that's nice. But then it's just every joke hit the floor like a wet thud for me, and struggled to think of particularly funny things. I think this, and I put up all the movies ranked, and I put this one second last, only to 5, which is abysmal. So
Yeah, I'd have to agree. This is not a good movie, and it definitely doesn't live up to the marketing of no one being safe, because it is incredibly tame. Nobody is hit. No one is really offended.
Shots weren't fired.
In fact, I would say this is a pretty progressive movie in hindsight, because it does feature a non-binary character and a transgender character. So that's progress.
Yeah, I felt weird in my review complaining that movie wasn't offensive enough. But I mean, if you're going to do the marketing,
I mean, not it. They didn't even try to be too offensive. Although apparently, from what I heard, they pulled some MAGA jokes, like decided to remove those from the movie. Crazy
no one's
things.
safe but
No one is
MAGA
safe.
because we're scared of them.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I mean, not super memorable in any sort of way outside of maybe the opening with a surprising Tiana Taylor appearance. And that might just be because they hadn't shown any of that in the lead up. Yeah, just everything kind of touched on. I think you had a complaint that, it's only the big blockbuster horror movies that they really touch on, and not like some of the more indie darling critical.
It just didn't feel as culturally on the pulse and relevant as the first Scream was, if they're sort of going for it. It just felt like Googling popular horror movies of the last 10 years and just going for the first Google results, rather than being actually aware of what's popular and would tickle horror movie fans as funny bone.
To be fair, like Scream made a ton of money, and only recently made a ton of money, and that kind of stuff. I feel like in hindsight, I'm like, there's like a ton of missed opportunities. You got the whole Halloween thing. How did nobody say Evil Dies Tonight at any point during this film? That seems like that should have been a home run.
We made
like,
that.
easy.
We were running with that joke for at least a solid month there. So
yeah, especially you're gonna have a bunch of people stabbing this non-binary person. They should have been all chanting Evil Dies.
They died tonight.
They died tonight. Yeah. It's it made a ton of money. It seems like it's likely we'll be getting another one if it continues on the trajectory it's on, and if they want to make more. But yeah, this did very little for either of us, it's fair to say. But yeah, check it out, a spoiler cast, I guess. If you want us to be a little bit meaner, I guess. All right. I've also seen this week Masters of the Universe, the new film directed by Travis Knight, starring Nicholas Galitzine, Camila Mendes, Jared Leto, Alison Brie, and Idris Elba, which is an adaptation of Masters of the Universe, or He-Man, as most older people would know, which was, a big toy line cartoon series back in the 80s, which has a very devoted fan base. Obviously, there was the 1987 film with Dolph Lundgren, who gets a nod in this film, a very prominent nod. It follows Prince Adam, who's from the planet of Eternia, who is sent to Earth post his, Skeletor, the evil villain of the film and just a general bad guy, attacking his family, and he gets sent to Earth to protect the Sword of Power. So the great power of Grayskull can't be taken by Skeletor. Unfortunately, in the process of being portaled to Earth, he loses the sword and spends the next 15 years. After being sent there as like a 10-year-old, he spends the next 15 years looking for the sword in Oklahoma City, unable to find it until the events of this movie, when he is brought back to Eternia to try and save the people of Eternia from the rule of Skeletor. I had a good time. I think it's a lot of fun. I think it is a little bit tonally all over the place. Like sometimes it is very serious and then it'll like try to land some jokes, like, and it doesn't quite gel. It's like a little too hard between the two. I there is definitely a lot of irreverence to the property and that kind of stuff, because there is a little bit of ridiculousness about it, because like a lot of the character names of like different toys and that kind of stuff is pretty silly. There's like a guy called Fisto, a guy called Ram Man, a guy called Drapjaw, so they do make a little bit of fun of that and like invent the idea that all those names are from 10-year-old Prince Adam, and that's what he called them called them in his head, and that's what stuck with him through all these years. But yeah, I think there is some interesting action and that kind of stuff. I think Nicholas Galatine is very charming in the lead role. Idris Elba knows exactly what kind of movie he's in. It is definitely like putting that energy out there as much as possible. He plays Man at Arms, who's like the the general of the army who's now post invasion by Skeletor, like a broken man, I guess, because he was unable to defend Eternia from Skeletor's attack and that kind of stuff. So Skeletor is really good in this movie, and I don't know if that's because of Jared Leto or just because the writing and the special effects on that is so good. I feel like the fact that he is not visibly Jared Leto helps a lot. But he is doing more of a deep voice rather than the very high pitched voice from the cartoon. But it still works a lot. Alison Brie is Evelyn. Very odd. There is a lot of this comes across as like a family film. But there's a lot of sexual innuendos and stuff like mentioned in this film, and Evelyn seems to have like a pain kink, which is very odd, and they like kind of linger on it a lot, which is very odd in my opinion for this kind of movie. But yeah, there was a lot of it hits its emotional moments for me, and I feel like there is some cool action. There's some interesting fight sequences that play into Nicholas Adam, I guess, getting the powers of He-Man, and becoming very strong despite being like a regressed 10-year-old, I guess. Before he gets the powers, he's very much like a cowardly kind of figure and that kind of stuff. So, yeah, I would be intrigued to see what like hardcore fans of the film think. I think it's like sitting at 88% audience score on Rotten Tomatoes, but it's made like no money. So it's made $56 million worldwide on a nearly $200 million budget. So I suspect this is not the franchise starter that we're hoping for, but I think it's well worth your time checking out, even if you have like a passing interest in the franchise or in the toys and that kind of stuff. So that is Masters of the Universe. Okay, Dylan, this past week, Euphoria came to its conclusion. What are your final thoughts on this final season? What has turned out to be, unsurprisingly, the final season of Euphoria?
It was a mess, and it just came and went, didn't it? Just came and it was a thing. Obviously, I was a big fan of the first two seasons, but I mean, the fact that I let several episodes build up at the stage, and I wasn't my usual, like, if a show's really good, Now I'm in. I'm watching that shit week by week. You know, I'm not letting episodes build up. I need to keep up, know what's happening. I'm looking forward to watching it every week. I was like, oh yeah, I've got like 3 episodes to catch up on the finale soon. Hey, I should catch up before the finale. You know, that sort of thing. There's just so many odd character decisions and directions, and I mean, you always knew the show was going to be the last season was going to have this time jump, and it was going to be different one way or another, which I totally wasn't against. But by the time you get to the end of the season, I was just like, I mean, some people are loving and hating the direction that Rue Zendaya's character ends up in. That aside, I just think everything else that happens is so, I don't know, just so disappointing, I think would be my words to describe it. It's a well-made disappointment overall, and also just an odd collection of actors who obviously could not be on the set at the same time, and or
Whether through
like one
scheduling
another or scheduling
or
what
personal
was it?
beefs, if you
Yeah. You can, there's just so many, and then I think that led to the writing in certain ways, the way certain character stories played out. I mean, yeah, like looking back on the season once it finished, I was like, why'd they even bring that character back? Like, why'd this person do this? Or what was the point of that? You know, it's just so, it's odd. It's nearly like just watch the first 2 seasons. That's good 2 seasons there, and just pretend it got cancelled.
is do you think the end of season 2 was a satisfying enough conclusion to say just season 3 is a write-off?
Well, for some characters, you could sort of be like, whatever, leave it there. The thing is, like, it ends sort of on a cliffhanger, but the cliffhangers do with it revolves heavily around an actor who unfortunately passes away and doesn't return for the season 3. So nothing to do about
Is that cliffhanger resolved? Because they do mention that character is still
that.
existing.
They mentioned that character. That Angus Cloud is in this show a lot. Even by
his
Zendaya
presence in the show.
His presence in the show. Zendaya talks to him on the phone twice, I think, during the season. These really awkward conversations. Has a picture of them as her lock screen on the phone. You see multiple times, and then spoilers, in the last episode, he's in it for like this footage that they'd sort of use, but then they must use the extended version of this that they used from the first season. It's sort of like a flashbacky dream sequence type thing. So it's very obvious that his character was meant to be. I mean, the way season 2 ends, also, it's like it's very obvious his character was meant to be a bigger part of the story going forward and whatnot. And they still try to just make it all like have him part of it, but I don't know. It was a mess.
All right. Euphoria. Don't watch this 3rd season. All right, Dylan, you checked out at least the first episode of the new series on Apple TV, Cape Fear. She calls another remake of Cape Fear, starring Javier Bardem and Amy Adams. What'd you think?
Yeah, I like the initial episode for this one. I mean, it's been a very long time since I watched the Martin Scorsese Cape Fear movie. But I mean, it's a very similar premise that's set up in the first episode, where it's like Amy Adams was a defense lawyer for Javier Bardem's character. Patrick Wilson's character was the prosecuting lawyer against Javier Bardem's character, who has just got out of prison after serving 17 years, I think, and gets out because the evidence comes around that says he didn't do what he was accused of. And he basically shows back up in their lives, and he's being maybe he's being nice, maybe he's not being nice. It's obvious to anyone watching at home that he's not there for good things, but he's given off mixed signals and mixed vibes, and you're not sure what direction it's heading. And then by the time the episode ends, you're left on oh my god, what the fuck's going to happen now? I think everyone's really good in it. Javier Bardem's the standout, and I mean that's what we said when we watched the trailer. Very keen to see his take continue on this man who was sort of, I guess, driven to breaking point a bit here. Yeah, I know there's 3 episodes that dropped, like all Apple TV ones Just watch the first one. Also, you'll be happy to know I put it on and when Buddy was here because I'm like, you'd probably like this. I haven't watched it yet, so I'm going to put it on while you're here because you never watch TV shows. So
You like it?
I think you liked it. Yeah. Will you watch more? Doubt it.
All right. And then I saw you also watched Lord of the Flies, which I believe is from one of the people behind the big hit of last year, Adolescence.
Yeah, it's a Jack Thorne created version. I really enjoyed it. I think it was 4 episodes.
4 episodes, yeah.
Yeah, it's on Stan.
Here in Australia.
Here in Australia, anyway. But yeah, I mean, look, if you've seen Lord of the Flies before, it's Lord of the Flies, but it's just a new version of that, sort of expanded into a 4-hour long movie take on it. It's shot really, really well. I think all the actors are fantastic in it. It does such a good job across the episodes, just building up that. It's weird to say I don't want to spoil a book from like the 60s or whenever the fuck it came out, but it does a really good job at building the eventual sort of split between the friction between some of the kids that again, if someone doesn't know Lord of Flies is a bunch of kids, plane crashes, they're on an island, they're stuck by themselves. And it's set during like fucking World War II, because that's when the book was written. And they didn't update it. So this isn't a bunch of kids landing with mobile phones going, where do we, you know, this is the way it is, still period time correct. But yeah, all the kids are fantastic. The way it plays out is it's normal. They haven't really changed drastically any aspect. I guess was one thing about one character that they changed that is technically drastic, but I don't think it's a big deal. But yeah, I really, really enjoyed it. I think it's probably one of the better TV series I've watched this year. Would recommend.
Right. All right. So I watched the first 3 episodes of the latest season of The Legend of Vox Machina, of course, which is the animated adaptation of the first season or first campaign of Critical Role, the live role-playing series, live play series. Yeah, it's enjoyable. Obviously, it is taking a lot of liberties or changes to the source material of the actual series, because there is the character of Tyrion Darrington, who is introduced in this series post a 1 to 2 year time jump that takes place during the campaign, whereas in the campaign he's introduced before that. But I guess it makes more sense within the series that he's introduced post that. But yeah, I feel like they're integrating his character in a fun way, and these first 3 episodes, kind of bringing the band back together after they kind of all went kind of separate ways at the end of last season to do kind of their own thing, but all being brought back together to deal with some sort of greater threat. Really good action, really good, comedy and writing and dialogue and all that kind of stuff. So Legend of Vox Machina continues to be a very good animated show. So unsurprising, more of the same. Finally, let's move into the mandatory Netflix segment of the show. So I watched Michael Jackson, The Verdict, the documentary on Netflix, which may or may not have sprung up based on the fact that there was a Michael Jackson biopic coming out. And it kind of chronicles the 2005 criminal trial against Michael Jackson, in which he is accused of abusing 2 children. And goes into the lead up to the case, very much starting from, I think there was a news special called Living with Michael Jackson, in which he is interviewed by a well-known interviewer, and he does mention that yes, he likes to sleep in the bed with children, and that seems to open a whole can of worms. And that is kind of the inflection point, especially this is post the first lawsuit that he has, the one that he settled on, that as apparently the reason that there were changes to the Michael Jackson movie. That that's post that lawsuit. But like, yeah, it's very interesting because I don't know. I guess I was not paying attention to this kind of news back in 2005, and was very unfamiliar with the case outside of he wasn't found guilty. But the documentary kind of tells it very much from both sides, both in a lot of people who have seen different things that are very sus around him at the time, and then people who are on the defensive trying to clear his name, especially a lot of fans of Michael Jackson, who there was one woman who quit her teaching job so she could go attend the 12-week trial. That's how much of a Michael Jackson fan. Crazily, they held a lottery to see who could be in the audience for the trial. That is bonkers and is something that you never expect. Yeah, so it kind of details a lot of weird stuff. So I would be intrigued to I
Yes.
I would say I don't know if it did, but it seems like there is a lot of, let's just say if it wasn't a rich, super famous person, he would have been found guilty. I think, or people would not be as comfortable with their children going and hanging out with him. There is a lot of weird stuff going on. But yeah, it definitely dissects kind of why the prosecution's case failed and why the defense's case succeeded. Whether it's through a lot of accused victims coming forward and saying he didn't do anything. Whether that's the truth or not, I don't know. Or like a form of brainwashing and that kind of stuff. But I mean, the police definitely got the impression there was enough evidence there to the legal team definitely, prosecution believed there was enough evidence there to press a case. So read into that what you will. But yeah, I think it's a timely, very interesting look at this time in history. Pulling from a lot of archival footage and that kind of stuff. So it's if you didn't know anything about this case, I think this is a very interesting, kind of deep dive into what actually occurred at that time. All right, that's everything in our watch history. Let's move on to a little bit of film news. And in, I guess, disappointing news this week, reading from IndieWire, even Martin Scorsese is using AI, but only for storyboarding. Said Enzo Marti, just when we thought there were too many older film icons embracing artificial intelligence, another true icon has joined the AI party. Surely, much to the disappointment of a whole lot of creators who have an aversion for anything AI. Martin Scorsese revealed in a video and statement shared with the New York Times that he had used generative AI tools by an AI startup called Black Forest Labs, and he's also serving as a background advisor to the new venture. The Times reported that Scorsese used the tools during pre-production for a new film, though it wasn't specified which, and that he joined on as an advisor to Black Forest Labs as long as a year ago. He says, I'm interested in the intersection of technology and storytelling and seeing how they can push the boundaries of creativity to create deeper and richer experiences for audiences. Remember, cinema is a young medium, only 125 years old, so you have to be open to how it can evolve. Before you get too panicked that the Taxi Driver and Raging Bull director is toying with AI in the same degree as his buddy Paul Schrader, who was very on board with AI. Scorsese's statement to the Times stresses that the extent to which he has used the tool seems to be almost exclusively to help make storyboards that he can better visualize to his crew. In fact, in the video shared by Black Forest Labs, we never see Scorsese himself prompting anything in the tool, but rather dictating his idea, having someone else write out a few prompts. For 70 years, I've been creating my own storyboards. There's always been this problem. How do you communicate what you see in your head to a cast and crew? There are some things you have to see and feel. Now with this tool, I can share what I'm visualizing more clearly and efficiently to my creative team, the production designer, art designer, and cinematographer. Dylan, how does this story make you feel?
I'm going to say something shocking, which is I don't really care. Which I
Okay.
think is a combination of just so much being it's like sick of talking about AI or hearing about AI or whatever.
Mhm.
But also just me being like, just the thing of all right, in the scheme of AI things to get annoyed about, this is a guy who
From
used
Doug
to
Liman
draw.
making a movie complete with AI.
Yeah, to him who used to just scribble his own pictures, so he's stealing his own job. I don't care.
Okay. Interesting. How do you feel about him backing a studio that's going to get rid of all these storyboard artists, I guess?
Yeah, see, that's the I mean, that's the bad part. But I get but just the general idea of someone using it when they're using this tool, I guess, in a world where they were just scribbling their own stuff compared to full. There's just that whole like, I'm just trying to pick between.
You're picking battles
Pick
and how
the
much energy
battles.
you're going to
Well,
dispense.
I know it's not the ideal thing, is it? But I'm just like,
when we're already losing the war.
we're losing the war, and we're going to. The thing is, it's not going anywhere. Full stop. And like, it's just not. It's the genie's out of the bottle. It's not going anywhere. So let's just try and draw a line somewhere, and bringing actors back to life and doing full AI movies is over the line. And maybe I'm willing to say this is under the line in the scheme of things.
Yeah, I don't love this story. It's fair to say. But I think, like you said, it could be worse. And I think, if it's just a communication tool, I guess that's not as bad. It's just, it's the continued just ill will that everyone is feeling towards AI, and just, anything just attaching to yourself to it at all, at the moment, I think is a bad move. But Scorsese is a big enough name that he can get away with making a bad move like this, I guess. A younger director may not get the same amount of grace, So I guess I'm wait and see how this evolves. This is a news story that I just saw. Didn't realize was maybe breaking. Big news in the Who-niverse.
Yeah,
The BBC has cancelled this Christmas special episode of Doctor Who, while showrunner Russell T Davies and producer Bad Wolf are exiting the iconic sci-fi series. In an announcement on Wednesday, the BBC acknowledged that the news would be disappointing for fans after the broadcaster promised last year it would air a spectacular special episode in 2026. The Doctor Who festive special is something of an institution in the UK, with previous favourites including David Tennant making his full debut as the Doctor in 2005's Christmas Invasion. The exit of Davies and Bad Wolf, who signed up for Doctor Who as part of a major reboot in 2021, will result in the BBC putting the series out to competitive tender. It means that BBC Studios, which owns the right to Doctor Who, or any independent producer, will have the opportunity to reinvent the beloved Time Lord. As part of securing the next phase of the show for future generations, and in line with the BBC's charter and agreements requirements, the BBC will put Doctor Who out to competitive tender this year. Doctor Who remains an important part of the BBC, and this tender underpins the BBC's continued commitment to Doctor Who, ensuring audiences will enjoy the show for years to come. After consideration, the BBC, Russell T Davies, and Bad Wolf had collectively decided not to go ahead with the previously announced Doctor Who Christmas special. This decision was not taken lightly, and we know it will be disappointing for fans, but in order to set the show up for future series, it was decided that rather than bridge the gap with a one-off special, we are choosing to push forward to invest in the long-term future of the show, which ensures that when the TARDIS lands once more, it does so in all its glory. Dylan, is this the end of Doctor?
Yeah,
is this the end of Doctor Who? Will we ever get a resolution to what happened at the end of last season, where Billie Piper became the Doctor, or the Doctor reincarnated into Billie Piper?
Don't know, don't care at this stage.
Wow.
And I mean, let's be real. If and when and if we get more Doctor Who, you can't blame them. And I would suggest just move on from that. Let's just,
do a full
just
what, 2006?
Yeah, reboot? It's like McGann was the Doctor in the movie, and then suddenly shows up as Christopher Eccleston. It's like, what happened in between? There was a War Doctor. There was all this stuff. We don't know. It's fine. Who cares?
It's fine. We'll
John Hurt was there.
We'll explain it in an audiobook.
Yeah, it's all good. Might touch base on it 10 years down track.
I mean, I would have preferred to find out what would happen, but I mean, it seems like a bold move. Like what Bad Wolf have been involved in Doctor Who since the start of the reboot, right?
I mean, his production company was involved with the last. Like, I don't think they've been. Have they?
Have they? I don't know. Let's have a look.
I thought they just repartnered when
Russell T Davies came.
When Russell T Davies came back, yeah.
Yeah, I don't know about the middle years, but obviously, yeah, they started on the back of his run on Doctor Who. Yeah, kind of crazy. Yeah, they became co-producers starting 2023. So, yeah, crazy. Didn't expect that story. Do we believe that the spin-off is still going to happen? Or still going to be released?
Nah.
It's already shot, right?
They shot it, then yeah, I suppose. Unless there's no reason to not put that
I guess
out.
it's not connected enough to anything current to
Yeah, so I think that'll be fine, yeah.
Yeah, I guess it's too early to say. We'll speculate as to who, what, where, when, I guess. Would you put any kind of timeline on it? Or is it maybe
Christmas
we should just give it some more time?
Maybe.
There's no rush, I guess, is what we say now.
Earliest Christmas 2028. Christmas 2028 is the earliest, I'd say.
Very intriguing. Yeah, if you want to hear all our thoughts on the last couple of seasons of Doctor Who, go check out our Doctor Who podcast, Fishing and Custard.
It won't be back soon.
It will not be back for a while.
It will not be back for the Christmas special this year, as was originally planned. Just to clarify.
Just to put that out there. All right. With that story coming up out of nowhere, this is the final story for this week. Ridley Scott, of course, has a new movie about to come out, The Dog Stars. I watched the trailer for it before a new trailer, I believe, came out this week, which we weren't going to talk about. But it looks like Ridley Scott has already got his next film lined up. Reading from Deadline. Here is a package hitting the market this week with some major star power and high-profile piece of IP at the center of it. Sources tell Deadline that Ridley Scott is on board to direct a movie adaptation of the classic Robert Louis Stevenson novel Treasure Island, with Hugh Jackman attached to play the iconic pirate Long John Silver. Adolescence writer Jack Thorne penned the script, with Scott and Michael Pruce producing for Scott Free. Dylan, do you think Ridley Scott can top the best Treasure Island adaptation of all time? The Muppet Treasure Island?
Which one?
Muppet Treasure Island.
I don't think I've watched that Muppets one.
Oof.
I feel like I thought I was comfortably going to say I've watched them, but no. I don't reckon this will be good. I'm going to say it now.
Wow.
Picture it.
There's some good names attached.
I don't think it's highly...
You just said Jack Thorne. You real actors.
Yeah, I know. It's going to be a 2-hour, 45-minute thing that's way too long. And it's not going to do well.
How many adaptations do we have of Treasure Island? Let's have a look.
Enough. Not even that long a book.
We haven't had like a proper one since 1999 in a proper Western, English language. Apparently, Treasure Planet is the most recent.
And you know what?
Adaptation.
It's cool because that was a different take. So there was something exciting about that, you know?
I'm intrigued. Like, what's he going to do that's different to anything else before?
Nothing.
You know? And Hugh Jackman on the water?
Hugh Jackman on the water?
On the water?
Hugh Jackman in water?
Hugh Jackman is a pirate? I can see it. You know what I mean?
Good, because he's an actor, so you should be able to see.
All right, let's move on. Let's move on to talking about some trailers in this week's dumpster trailers. Of course, you'll find all the trailers about to talk about in the show notes below. Big week trailers, probably helped by the fact that we are running over this late. This episode's coming out a bit late, but
hey, we got Disclosure Day in.
we did. All right, first trailer for this week: The End of Oak Street, directed by David Robert Mitchell, starring Anne Hathaway, Ewan McGregor, Maisie Stella, and Christian Convery. A mysterious cosmic event rips Oak Street from suburbia and transports a neighborhood to someplace unknown. The Platt family soon discovers that their very survival depends on sticking together as they navigate their now unrecognizable surroundings. Dylan, what do you think of the trailer for this dinosaur movie?
Yes, double thumbs up. Looks fantastic. Can't wait. Just such a fun idea. Cast seems to be having fun. There's a few jokes in here. Will McGregor, talking about how God will save them, and so I was like, how about the people getting outside eating, all that sort of stuff. Just it looks good, like good fun time to me. So I'm down.
Yeah, 2 thumbs up for me as well. I think it's a fun twist on like the dinosaur movie and like the idea of your street being transported back to prehistoric times, which seems to be
What's happened?
we can only assume that's what happened. The visual of like the end of the street just being in the middle of a jungle or whatever is pretty cool. And then there's that. I think my favorite shot is the lady who comes out of a house. It's like, what's going on? I don't understand. And then a giant dinosaur just comes and rips her face off.
Yeah, good stuff.
So that looks like a good time. Looks like a good cast. The End of Oak Street is coming to Australian cinemas on the 13th of August. Next trailer is for Lucky, created by Jonathan Troper, starring Anya Taylor-Joy and abetting Timothy Oliphant and Anjuwan Ellis Taylor. When a multi-million-dollar heist goes sideways, con artist Lucky is forced to go on the run. Pursued by both the FBI and a ruthless crime boss, Lucky must fight for her life and a way out. Dylan, what do you think of the trailer for this latest Apple TV miniseries?
Sort of generic, but with the good cast, I think, is like the general. So I'm going to go one up, one down, because I'm sort of keen to watch it for who's in it, not because of any direction of the characters generally seeming interesting or the plot seeming exciting or anything like that. So the thing is, Apple TV is this: they continuously have like really good series and then just average movies. So this seems to follow that flavor.
Yeah, one up, one down. I feel like I'm definitely in this for Anya Taylor-Joy, but it seems like a very much like a trope we've seen before, like whether it's a Hannah or a bunch of these other like young spy or like young person raised in the criminal ways. All right, Lucky is coming to Apple TV Plus on Apple TV, sorry, 15th of July. Next trailer is for Ice Cream Man, directed by Eli Roth, starring Ari Millen, Charlie Zeltzer, Shiloh O'Reilly, Kiori, Mirza Baldwin, Sarah Abbott, and Benjamin Brian Davis. An idyllic suburban town descends into madness when a mysterious ice cream salesman serves sweet treats that turn children into homicidal maniacs. So, what do you think of the trailer for Ice Cream Man?
One up, one down. Funny concepts for like a purposely going for a B grade sort of grindhousey feeling horror film something. I was just annoyed that the ice cream makeup looks so bad, and I maybe that's like obviously part of the point, fitting the vibe of the film, but it just kept annoying me how it didn't look. I don't know, I kept getting annoyed by it. Yeah, I didn't like it, so I'm going one up, one down.
What? All these kids are messy when they're eating ice cream? That's a bit unrealistic.
Yeah.
There's got to be at least one kid who's like clean.
One out of the however many that you see in the trailer. So
yeah, I'll give it one up, one down. I think it's an interesting concept, but also it feels a little bit like there's a torture porn-esque element to it of these kids being over the top and super violent and like doing ridiculously horrific things to adults.
yeah, man, I think that's on purpose. That is
that's, but, to the extreme of them scooping a dude's brains out of his head and serving it to him like ice cream. That's, and, cutting people up with, it was very violent, very, very gory from this trailer, I think. Very surprising. So, but I do like the idea of children being zombies, I guess.
You just like the idea of children being dead? Is that
Sometimes.
your favorite way for them to go?
Sometimes. No, absolutely. Children should definitely not be harmed in any sort of way, unless. But yeah, also the kids being the ones, I guess, at the central trying to save their friends from. Well, it's these kids who are smart enough to be sus of this ice cream dude, who are safe. All right, Ice Cream Man comes to cinemas on the 6th of August. Next trailer is for Onslaught, directed by Adam Wingard, starring Audra Arjona, Dan Stevens, Eric Wareham, Reginald Vell Johnson, Michael Bean, Alex Pereira, Drew Starkey, and Rebecca Hall. A mother living in a trailer park struggles to protect her family from a threat that has escaped from a secret military facility. Dylan, you're always a fan of A24 films. What do you think of the trailer for this A24 film?
And Adam Wingard in general, other than his
Godzilla stuff.
Yeah, I'm going to double thumbs up. Love the cast, love the idea, love the vibes in general that's across this one. But obviously, I think it's just the cast is doing a lot for me here. So double thumbs up.
I was, for a lot of this trailer, one up, one down. I think it is just a kind of a ridiculous concept of these, group of evil super soldiers who Arjona is going to somehow fight against. But then Reginald Vell Johnson said at the end of the trailer, "You've come to the wrong trailer park, motherfucker." And that's 2 thumbs up, because that is a great line delivery. And if it's some of that tone is going to be in this, I'm on board. So congrats. You've won me over with that single line.
This looks like it's going for like a grindhousey feel as well. So
yeah, it seems like it's a crazy over the top, because the whole conceit is fucked up. It's like we created these super soldiers purely to put them in civilian situations, fuck up a civilian group, No one's actually that evil, right?
You doubt it.
Onslaught
You idiot. You naive idiot.
Onslaught is coming to the cinemas on the 6th of August. Last trailer for the week. How to Rob a Bank. Directed by David Leitch, starring Nicholas Hoult, Zoe Kravitz, Anna Sawai, Renzi Feliz, Christian Slater, Pete Davidson, and John C. Reilly. A crew of bank robbers has been using social media to document heists they have pulled off, leading to pursuit from the police. Dylan, what do you think of the trailer for How to Rob a Bank?
Oh, it looks so much fun. Double thumbs up. Great cast, great vibe, great general pacing to it. Great message. Yeah, I'm very keen. It looks like this just generally looks like a lot of fun. Good time at cinema. So yeah, John C. Reilly. Sort of at first I was like John C. Reilly, but then the more the trailer went, I was like, you know what, I like him for this role actually, because he's not. I don't know, especially when it's like they've obviously uploaded that part of he's like just doing my job or whatever. Is like they've memed him.
Yeah, this is 2 thumbs up for me. In fact, I'm going to give this the coveted 3 thumbs up.
3 thumbs up. I don't think you've given a 3 thumbs up before.
No, I haven't.
I think I've given like 2.
I'm shocked. But yeah, I've watched this trailer like at least 4 or 5 times. I think it is fantastic. I'm very keen for this movie. I think just tonally, it just is really good. All the jokes in this land, whether it's them about to rob the bank, an old blind lady comes through, and Pete Davidson's, Golden Girls.
Yeah. Also, it's so weird to be like, man, I'm so excited for this movie. It looks so good. And then Pete Davidson's one to make us.
Yeah, and it's like
generally working. Generally, it works for the vibe.
It seems to be working. And all the action looks really cool. The message is like when Zoe Kravitz looks really great in this. So like, even though she's playing this like hacker person who was only became an expert hacker because she was obsessed with her ex-boyfriend or whatever. She's fun, and what's the line that she delivers? Like, didn't you like get a massive payout and still take a bunch of money from screw over a bunch of people? Isn't that kind of stealing as well? So, of course, hitting a very cool message. Even just the opening and the stylized nature of it, with the facts like 3 out of people, you have a 3 out of 10 chance of owning your own home, 2 out of chance of triple figure salary, but bank heist 7, 9 out of 10 success rate. It's like, fuck, that's. I wonder how many people after this movie comes out, how many people are going to start robbing banks after this?
Yeah, you're gonna see. There's gonna be at least one news story where it's like someone robbed a bank and it was inspired by this movie, and then it'll start some week-long argument amongst.
But even the dude at the end who's like getting his car stolen or hijacked.
Yeah,
you guys how to rob a bank? I love you guys.
Fuck yeah, I love your show. Take my car.
Thanks for watching. So, very keen for this one. It's coming to cinemas on the 3rd of September. All right, let's move into this week's top 3.
Definitely in the top 3.
And in honor of Disclosure Day coming to cinemas, this week's top 3 is top 3 favorite Steven Spielberg films. Dylan, what's your number 3?
I don't think this is a particularly hard list to do, and they're all going to be movies that have been mentioned plenty of times across this podcast because they're Spielberg films. My number 3 is Jurassic Park. OG dinosaurs, great time. Scared shit out of me as a kid. Now it's just a lot of fun. I wish they were all as good as this. Go Velociraptor baby, go raw.
It's my number 1. It is, as far as I'm aware, it's definitely the first film I remember seeing in the cinema, which I think I've mentioned before. It holds up. We did a rewatch before Dominion as part of a series. It was great in that. Yeah. The fact that, so much of that was real models or puppetry and that kind of stuff, and looks incredible and that kind of stuff, I think. Yeah, just a incredible movie. So one that set up a franchise, even if it didn't intend to. So that's my number 1. I'll go with my number 3, which is Raiders of the Lost Ark. Introduction of Indiana Jones. Harrison Ford is fantastic. He's fighting Nazis. What more could you want? Again, starting a franchise probably before they realize. Dylan, what's your number 2?
Number 2 is Raiders of the Lost Ark. OG Indiana Jones. We wouldn't have so many video games these days if it wasn't for this film.
Classic soundtrack.
So many funny moments. So many good memes.
Mm-hmm.
Whip that, baby. Whip that.
All right. My number 2, which I don't think will be on your list. Catch Me If You Can. Leonardo DiCaprio as the young con man who, talks his way into a number of different professions, committing intense amount of fraud while being chased by Tom Hanks throughout the entire movie. A film filled with appearances of actors who would later become much bigger stars. Most prominent, Amy Adams as like one of the girls he meets during the film. Yeah, it is so good. Just very enjoyable. Just seeing, DiCaprio kind of get by Hanks at every twist and turns and as much as he can. So that is my number 2. Dylan, what is your number 1 Steven Spielberg film?
Jaws. Because it's Jaws. One of the greatest movies of all time.
That's
created the blockbuster, Ash.
Okay.
Created the blockbuster. The term didn't exist before Jaws.
That is true.
Redefined cinema. Jaws.
Okay. All right, Dylan, this week, what do you want to watch?
Well, I mean, we've talked about the big release already, of course, Disclosure Day. So in cinemas, I'm going to pick How to Talk Australians, sitting cinemas this week as well. And then on the streaming front, Find Your Friends is coming to Shudder, which is, of course, a horror movie, starring Belle Thorne and some of it. But that looks like a fun time.
I would say the film Tuna. Or tuna? Like a piano tuner?
Not like the fish.
No, not like the fish. I saw the trailer for it, starring Leo Waddell, who, is one of these young stars
These
who's
young people
popping up everywhere.
Yeah, these young people.
It's a Baby Driver-esque story of a kid with a hearing disability. He's unable to. But they say in the trailer he's allergic to loud noises, so he's constantly wearing like earplugs or whatever. But he can hear pitch perfectly. He can recognize pitch perfectly. But then he uses this ability to crack safes. So then he starts to go down this rabbit hole of like cracking safes. But then he goes, classic story of him going in too deep. So that looks like a lot of fun. And then Over Your Dead Body, the film starring Jason Segel and Samira Weaving, is coming to Prime Video this week. So that's something I would want to check out. All right, let's know what you want to watch this week by going to explosionnetwork.com/follow and let us know on social media. If you want to help us out here at What Do You Want to Watch, leave us a review on our podcast on Podchaser. Leave us 5 stars and leave 5 stars, or just tell people about the show. And if you want to help us out at Explosion Network with all other reviews, other podcasts, and other What Do You Want to Watch Road to series, head over to explosionnetwork.com/support. Thank you very much for listening. Until next time, keep watching stuff, I guess.
Don't trust animals.
They could be aliens.
Could be aliens.
And now listen to the spoiler section.
This 79-year terror campaign of lies has to end.
What are you gonna do?
Full disclosure to the whole world.
That truth will upend all established order across the entire world. If you do this, there's no undoing it.
We just kind of dived straight in, dropped in. Josh O'Connor's stolen a bunch of files. They set up these devices. There's like a lot of interesting or like unexplained things that are introduced in the film. Like Josh O'Connor understands math incredibly because these aliens chose these 2 children to give abilities to, but didn't activate them until much later, which seems like a weird choice. And then there's the whole thing of them pretending to be animals or like appearing to humans and animals. So are they just around all the time? And like I said, Eve Houston's character was a nun or was in the church. She has like a crisis of faith with the potential of aliens being revealed and thinking that all religious figures will, kind of be ruined by the existence of aliens. But that's not dived in very deeply. It's just as soon as she has one conversation with her nun friend, she's like, I guess it's fine. Let's put her out there for the world. Those are a couple of gripes or things that sprung to mind. Dylan, do you have any thoughts on those?
That was a lot.
That was a lot.
I feel like the main thing that I was thinking about on my drive home, because obviously we literally just both finished watching the movie, was because the movie does introduce the religious aspect stuff. You're thinking
It's a philosophical debate.
Well,
that's the word I was looking for.
There's definitely a philosophical debate, and it's very quick and whatever else. But by the time the end of the movie, I feel like I'm not sure if I'm supposed to take it as not that they aren't potentially gods, like within the scheme of this world and things, because when you look at certain elements, like they speak in math, and math has been around forever, since the dawn of time, basically, as far as we're aware, like the basis of math. So, but their language is math. So that just had me thinking, okay, so maybe that was planted there. They appear as animals. Did they only recently start doing that? But if they don't, then then they could have been around on the planet for all of history. And then you have the constant in the background World War III thing, which you never really get a context or a really good idea of how dire it is or isn't, or how comparable it is to our current
situation
in the world. Where
well,
you
it's
can wake
implied
up,
there's some sort of thing going on with North Korea.
Yeah.
Like
But
some
also-
conflict, yeah.
you could wake up tomorrow and that could be on the news. You know what I mean? So
Yeah, absolutely.
like, and then I'm like, okay, so maybe they're trying to do these things because I guess it's that whole aspect of, I mean, if you watch any movie or any religion story or what have you, it's like the gods step in but in subtle ways. There's no ever moving hand. So it's like these aliens step in subtle ways by letting one understand them if they're gods, and the other one the ability to understand their creations fully if they're humans. And then the last message of the movie is listen, which the moral the quandary, I guess, of the movie is less about if aliens exist or not, and more the fact that the war and whatever else is happening around the world is quite often everything that happens bad in the world starts with terrible inability to communicate and understand your
The
fellow
assumption that
man.
something is different is going to be bad for us.
People start wars over different ethnicities, different sex,
Beliefs,
gender,
yeah.
whatever beliefs. So I mean that's definitely, because to me that was what I was thinking. Whether or not I'm pulling that all out of my ass, that's a more
Whether that was
interesting.
intended.
Well, whether it's intended or not, that I was thinking about it,
That's fair.
and I feel like I'm not pulling things out of thin air. They're all at least sprinkles of things that are throughout the movie.
I just feel like the powers are not like established. You know what I mean? Like, especially with Emily Blunt's character, who seems to can read people's history or minds, something like that, able to speak fluent languages all of a sudden. And then later on, she appears to other people as important figures within their lives.
I don't think she
Whether
actually
it's-
appears. That's just how they're seeing her. It's not like she's changing.
Yeah, that's how they see her as someone
Yeah.
who is important to them. Everybody except the one dude who's really gung ho about. He's the only guy in this movie who's like nonstop wants to kill him.
He's locked in.
He's got nobody. He loved nobody who is unaffected. You know, and then you've got the crystal things that they're holding all the time that apparently can do all different things. It's not exactly, or do random things like turn them invisible.
Pretty sure they're a sonic screwdriver, but
They could be. I mean, Colin Firth doing the whole mind hijack thing. I mean, that was pretty cool. Like some of the sequences with that, fucking messing around with Eve Houston, making her try to stab Josh, or the conversation he has with Coleman Domingo. I think those are pretty cool sequences, and obviously it's clear that it's draining for him. But yeah, the every reveal just was kind of, really, we're going in that direction, kind of a little bit. There was a lot of surprises in this film, I think it's fair to say. It definitely was not what I expected.
let me hear with what if you're not supposed to fully understand everything about this movie, and the last line of the movie is because you're meant to talk to people about it and listen.
Whoa.
Deep, man.
Well, I think the ending is very interesting in that obviously the whole movie is about disclosing it, but we never see the after effects of what happens post that. Which it reminds me of the recent film House of Dynamite, which, spoilers, had a very similar ending of you have this whole missile strike that happens, but you never actually see how the whole film's about how the United States would react to a missile strike on them, but you never see the aftermath of that, 40-minute period. This is very much the same, where it's like end on the beat of one of the aliens that Coleman Domingo saved is there. Walks in after Colin Firth just gave up, and talks to Emily Blunt and Josh O'Connor, and cut to credits. I feel like that is going to frustrate some people. Just
but also people are gonna be like,
understand.
I read his lips when he whispered in her ear, and I know what he said.
Did you?
Something.
No, he was speaking reasonably quiet.
Who knows? I don't mind it because, I mean, the whole movie's two reasons. A, I don't think the movie's was never about the aftermath. It's Cold Disclosure Day. It's about getting to that point. And then B, the movie sort of sets you up for this when it starts 40 minutes in. Like, you never, like, this isn't a movie that sees...
You're not going to get the whole story.
Yeah, there's an old, normal version of this movie plays out with Josh O'Connor's character, Coleman Domingo's character working and then like devising the plan and then stealing the things and whatever else. This, as you said before, it's like this movie just starts. It's sort of 40 minutes into it already.
What do you think of the designs of the aliens? They're very classic.
Yeah, classic alien. Yeah.
I guess, is that to fit what people believe is actually aliens look like? You know what I mean? Like to fit within, like, because Coleman Domingo talks about how we have not allowed the people who've experienced extraterrestrial experiences to share their stories and to be validated. So he's just pulled from what people have said aliens look like. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I mean, I just took it. It's like if you're doing a movie that's about cover-ups and Roswell and whatever else throughout history, going for the classic alien design, classic alien cover-up design, and all that makes sense.
No, yeah. I also really loved the whole news sequence. I think like they're going up the chain to New York City and then them just disseminating this to everywhere. A little bit unrealistic that every single person on the planet be watching at the same time. Because, there's somebody who's going to be watching something else. There's got to be at least one person who's, reading a book or listening to music or, not experiencing the news or on social media at the same time. Or in the middle of like an episode of something. Don't want to pause. But yeah, anything else you want to discuss about the film?
No. I feel like we hit the
main
points.
stuff.
I'm intrigued. Obviously, we're watching this
conversation. Yeah,
we're watching this the Wednesday night. The preview screening night. Officially out tomorrow, and then it'll roll out in America and whatever. So I'm intrigued to see and read what other people's thoughts are on this in the coming days and weeks.
Yeah, absolutely. All right.